Listen carefully to this and pay attention. Let me ask you something. What if the greatest tragedy in your life is not failure, not heartbreak, not poverty? What if the greatest tragedy is that you never truly became who you could have been? Because most people are not physically dead. They are mentally dead, spiritually numb, emotionally weak, addicted to comfort, terrified of silence. And the worst part? Society rewards them for it. Today, we are going to confront the brutal truth that modern life is slowly destroying your mind, your discipline, your soul, and how Stoicism can save you before it's too late. But this video is not for everyone. This is for the few people who still feel that fire inside them, the people who know deep down they were meant for more. So before we begin, comment below, "I refuse to live asleep." Write it now, not for the algorithm, for yourself, because the moment you declare war on weakness, your transformation begins. And if you stay until the end of this video, you may never see your life the same way again. The modern world is engineered to make you weak. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Now think carefully about the world around you. Every day, your attention is attacked. Notifications, short dopamine hits, mindless entertainment, fake validation, comparison, endless noise. Your mind has become a battlefield, and most people have already surrendered. They wake up tired. They scroll. They complain. They consume. They escape. And then they wonder why they feel empty. The ancient Stoics understood something terrifying. A weak mind creates a miserable life. Not because life becomes harder, but because the weak mind cannot carry pain. And modern society profits from your weakness. Because disciplined people are dangerous. People who control their emotions cannot be manipulated. People who master themselves cannot be enslaved. That is why the world constantly seduces you toward comfort. Comfort is the silent killer of potential. And every time you avoid difficulty, you become smaller. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, your spirit decays a little more. But here is the truth nobody wants to hear. Your suffering is not destroying you. Your avoidance of suffering is. Read that again in your mind. Because Stoicism was never about escaping pain. It was about becoming strong enough to face reality without breaking. And most people today are not trained for reality. They are trained for convenience, which is why the smallest inconvenience destroys them emotionally. One rejection destroys their confidence. One criticism ruins their week. One failure convinces them to quit, because internally, they are fragile. But the Stoics believed something radical. You must voluntarily enter discomfort, or life will force you into suffering unprepared. And life always wins. Always. The hidden reason you feel lost. You know what destroys most people? It's not lack of talent. It's not lack of opportunity. It's inner chaos. Their mind is divided against itself. One part wants greatness. Another part wants comfort. One part dreams big. Another part whispers, "Do it tomorrow." and tomorrow becomes next year. Then 10 years pass, and suddenly they realize they wasted their life fighting themselves. Seneca warned us about this centuries ago when he said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And modern people waste their lives constantly, wasting attention, wasting emotional energy, wasting time arguing online, wasting years trying to impress people who secretly do not care about them. Listen carefully. A distracted mind cannot build a meaningful life. Your future depends on your ability to focus, and focus is now rare. That is why people who master their mind appear almost superhuman today. Because while everyone else is drowning in noise, they are building strength in silence. This is why Stoicism matters more today than ever before. Because Stoicism teaches emotional control in an age of emotional addiction. It teaches discipline in an age of laziness, clarity in an age of confusion, purpose in an age of emptiness, and most importantly, it teaches you how to become untouchable mentally. Not emotionless, not cold, untouchable. There is a difference. The Stoic still feels pain, but pain no longer controls him. And that changes everything. If you cannot control your emotions, you do not control your life. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want. The Stoics disagreed. They believed freedom meant mastering yourself. Because if your emotions control you, you are not free. You are a slave to anger, a slave to fear, a slave to validation, a slave to desire, and perhaps the greatest prison of all, a slave to other people's opinions. Think about how many decisions people make just to avoid judgment. They silence themselves, shrink themselves, hide themselves, pretend to be someone else, all because they fear criticism. But Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Read that slowly. You cannot control the world, but you can control your response to it. And that is where real power begins. Imagine becoming the kind of person who remains calm in chaos, focused under pressure, disciplined when everyone else quits. Imagine becoming emotionally unbreakable. That is not fantasy. That is training. And every difficult moment in your life is an opportunity to train. Every insult, every rejection, every betrayal, every painful experience, life is constantly asking you one question: will this break you or build you? Most people break. The Stoic transforms. The brutal truth about comfort. Comfort feels safe, but comfort slowly kills ambition, kills discipline, kills masculinity, kills resilience, kills greatness. And the terrifying part is this: comfort never announces its destruction. It seduces you slowly. One lazy morning, one excuse, one distraction, one delay, until eventually you wake up, living a life you never wanted. This is why the Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, cold weather, minimal possessions, fasting, silence, isolation. Not because suffering is noble, but because dependency is dangerous. If you require comfort to function, life will destroy you the moment comfort disappears. And life always changes. Money changes. People leave. Health fades. Circumstances collapse. The Stoic prepares mentally before disaster arrives. While others panic, the Stoic remains grounded because he trained his mind before the storm came. Ask yourself honestly, have you trained your mind or only entertained it? Because those are two completely different things. And deep down, you already know the answer. Most people are addicted to escape. Look around. People escape constantly. Escaping silence with noise. Escaping pain with pleasure. Escaping loneliness with attention. Escaping themselves with distractions. Because being alone with your thoughts has become terrifying. Why? Because silence reveals truth. And truth hurts. Truth reveals your wasted potential. Truth reveals your excuses. Truth reveals the person you could become if you finally stopped running. That is why most people avoid stillness. Because stillness forces confrontation. But the Stoics understood something powerful. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. So instead of escaping discomfort, face it. Sit with it. Study it. Master it. Because every time you stop running from pain, you become stronger than the pain itself. And that changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as weak. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. You stop needing constant validation from the world. And suddenly, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Not dangerous to others. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to manipulation. Dangerous to weakness. The loneliness of self-mastery. Here is something nobody tells you about transformation. It becomes lonely. Because once you start growing, you begin seeing the world differently. You stop enjoying meaningless conversations. You stop craving shallow validation. You stop chasing approval. And many people around you will not understand the new version of you. Some will call you cold. Others will call you arrogant. Some will secretly resent your discipline because it exposes their lack of it. But remember this, every great transformation requires separation. The caterpillar cannot become the butterfly while remaining comfortable inside the cocoon. And your old life will fight to keep you small. Your habits, your environment, even people you love. Because your growth forces others to confront their stagnation. And many people would rather criticize your discipline than question their weakness. So if you feel alone during your transformation, good. It means you are evolving. Comment below. Discipline over comfort. I want to know who is truly serious about changing their life, because this channel is not for spectators. It is for warriors. Stoicism is not about being emotionless. This is where people misunderstand Stoicism completely. Stoicism is not suppression. It is mastery. The Stoic does not deny emotion. He simply refuses to become controlled by emotion. There is a massive difference. Weak people react emotionally to everything. Strong people observe first. And observation creates power. Because when you react blindly, you lose control. But when you pause, think, reflect, you regain authority over yourself. This is why emotional discipline is one of the greatest skills you can ever develop. A man who controls his emotions can survive almost anything But a man controlled by emotions becomes predictable, manipulatable, fragile. And in today's world, emotional weakness is exploited everywhere. Fear sells, outrage sells, division sells. But calmness is revolutionary. Because calm people think clearly. And people who think clearly cannot easily be controlled. You are running out of time. This may be the most important part of the video. One day, you will die. Not metaphorically, literally. Your body will weaken. Your opportunities will vanish. Your time will end. And when that moment comes, none of the distractions will matter. Not the scrolling, not the opinions, not the fake status, not the endless entertainment. Only one question will matter. Did you truly live? Most people avoid thinking about death. The Stoics meditated on it daily. Not to become depressed, but to awaken urgency. Because remembering death destroys procrastination. It destroys pettiness. It destroys excuses. When you realize time is limited, you stop wasting life on meaningless things. And suddenly, you begin living intentionally, with purpose, with clarity, with courage. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, you could leave life right now. Imagine living with that awareness daily. Imagine how focused you would become, how disciplined, how fearless. Because when you stop fearing death, you finally start living. How to rebuild yourself. So where do you begin? Not tomorrow. Now, start small. Wake up earlier. Control your impulses. Spend time in silence. Train your body. Read wisdom instead of consuming garbage. Stop negotiating with weakness. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is identity. And identity changes everything. Because once you become the kind of person who does hard things consistently, your entire life transforms. The Stoics did not wait to feel ready. They acted despite discomfort. That is the secret. Action before confidence. Action before certainty. Action before emotion. Because your mind changes after action, not before it. And slowly, day by day, you become stronger, clearer, calmer, more dangerous to the chaos around you. Until one day, people look at you and wonder, what changed? But they never saw the silent war you fought within yourself. Final message. If you have watched this far, you already know something inside you is changing. Because the truth is, your greatest enemy was never the world. It was the weak version of yourself you kept feeding every day. But today, that version dies. Not instantly, not dramatically, but decision by decision, discipline by discipline, thought by thought. And one day, you will look back and realize the pain you feared was actually the doorway to your transformation. So do not run from difficulty anymore. Become stronger than it. Because the world does not need more distracted people. It needs people with discipline, wisdom, control, purpose, and courage. The Stoics knew this thousands of years ago. Now it is your turn to live it. If this video spoke to you deeply, subscribe to Stoic Gateway and join this journey toward mental strength, discipline, and inner freedom. And if you want your free Stoic PDF guide, and the 7 Days Stoic Transformation Program. Text transformation to the Stoic Path 33@gmail.com. Also, comment below. I choose discipline because your words become your identity. And finally, remember this: the strongest person in the room is not the loudest. It is the one who has mastered themselves. Now check out the next video because we dive even deeper to unlock hidden secrets. Welcome to your transformation.